Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars, a magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, "My concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors."
The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
What happens is if people go into a trial believing the firepower on the prosecution is so strong, I mean, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 95 that it's so strong, but it goes down to an 88. That helps the defense because everybody goes in thinking, wow, they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and all of a sudden, none of it's there. I think that actually helps the defense.
Imagine the flashbulbs popping, a hush settling over the marble hallways, and a billionaire mogul staring down the fight of his life while an on-time teen idol agrees to testify against him.
Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what, maybe I can break the model. Maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only person I know of who might be able to actually accomplish that.
At trial, Combs will ditch the jail garb and wear ordinary clothes. As his lawyers argue, the evidence shows consenting adults being intimate in their own way.
Tonight we step past the velvet rope, duck the U.S. Marshals, and unspool the drama the pool cameras never catch. If you thought you knew everything about the looming Diddy court showdown, trust me, you've only seen the teaser trailer.
Federal trafficking, racketeering, and charges beginning Monday morning.
Major developments tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight,
do you still think that, because there is this public perception, that there are celebrity tapes involved in this case?
No.
Do you still think that there are minors involved in this case?
I'm certain no.
Okay.
And again, when you say this case, we're talking the criminal case.
The criminal case.
In the
correct.
criminal,
I know that.
In the criminal case,
in
the criminal case,
right.
No.
Before we rewind the timeline and watch this case unravel thread by thread, smash that like button and hit subscribe. We drop deep dive breakdowns with receipts, zero fluff, and just the right dash of chaos. So grab a seat up front, you won't believe how this one finishes. The first domino fell when Magistrate Judge Serena Howell weighed a stack of sealed affidavits and decided Sean Diddy Combs would see no daylight before trial.
She did, and when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
No ankle monitor, no $10 million bond, no Gulfstream idling under marshal escort, just a flat denial. These alleged crimes, she said, happen behind closed doors. Diddy, in county issue beige instead of runway black, took a single sip of water, jaw set, eyes forward. Sighed, fans swapped theories like mixtapes, but the tone for everything to follow clicked into place.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury this coming week, is that there is, at least anecdotally, when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity tapes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these things into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is Epstein redux or something.
Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's convicted.
If the bail hearing dimmed the lights, Diddy's next move struck the match. 4 days before opening statements, prosecutors slid a plea deal across the table. Reduced time, faster rebrand, fewer years for the tabloids to feast.
Would you be open to a plea bargain?
Well, it's not up to me. It's up to Mr. Combs, and I don't see it happening.
Why?
Because he believes he's innocent. He believes he's innocent, and what's more, he believes that he needs to stand up, not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
What made you come here to support Puff?
I'm supporting Puff because he's innocent, and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So
you say you know he's innocent?
1,000%.
He knows the deck is stacked against him. They've got a ton of evidence. Take the plea deal, dude. Just take it.
Well, my guess is that, because we don't know the deal of the plea deal. At least I don't think we do.
True.
Okay.
All he had to do was admit that trafficking and coercion lived under his roof. In federal jargon, it's acceptance of responsibility. In mogul speak, it's career euthanasia. Combs shoved the paperwork back and told the judge, "Yes, I do reject it, Your Honor." The gallery reacted like a festival crowd hearing an unexpected beat drop.
Back up a little bit, please.
How can you support your father? How do you support him moving forward?
Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York, ready to surrender to face these charges, but prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urged the judge to remand him.
Why roll the dice? Defense counsel Benjamin Torres framed it as a mission bigger than music. In corridor pressers, he talked of breaking the model, proving a black entrepreneur can stare down the entire Justice Department and walk out vindicated.
Now, as far as jury selection goes, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that both sides expect to have all of this done in the matter of 3 days. Now, given just how high profile this trial is, I was kind of stunned that they seem very confident that they will be able to seat a jury in that amount of time.
The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to exploit both women and men for decades.
This is going to be such a massive trial, like maybe the biggest Hollywood trial. God knows which way it's going to go. Is it going to go on for weeks?
For sure, weeks.
We have the latest from federal court in the Sean Combs criminal case. Status of jury selection, what Diddy's going to be wearing, violation of a gag order, rejecting a plea offer.
He cast his client as David, the government as Goliath, platinum plaques as slingstones. Team argues the case looks menacing only because rumor writes half the indictment. Peel back the hype and the 95% certain firepower drops into the manageable 80s, somewhere a skillful lawyer can dance. Prosecutors counter with a wall of receipts. They say a racketeering enterprise hides in plain sight, disguised as VIP culture. Invite-only parties, phone-free zones, SUV caravans with blackout glass, NDAs waved in every face. Same script, they insist, from Manhattan lofts to Miami yachts. Show the pattern and intent writes itself. Their witness list runs long. Ex-security, studio runners, disgruntled executives, anyone who felt that velvet rope tighten around something darker than exclusivity. Yet before a single witness is sworn, 12 citizens must be seated, and both sides claim they can finish voir dire in 3 breathless days. One prospective juror binges true crime podcasts and swears Epstein redux is inevitable. Another owns every bad boy vinyl and thinks Puff can do no wrong. Lawyers probe, can you judge facts, not fame? Can you set aside podcasts, playlists, tweets? The answers decide whether the prosecution swims with the tide or rows against a current. And into that maelstrom strides Justin Bieber, pop's millennial icon, volunteering to testify. Court filings show he hit a handful of Combs-linked events in his early 20s. He's not claiming victimization. He's offering timestamps and logistics, handing over phones at the door, signing tablet NDAs, boarding shuttles with frosted windows, watching Combs arrive flanked by bodyguards precisely at 1:13 a.m. Mundane details, yes, but when delivered by a witness with a global fanbase, they transform spreadsheets into mental movies a jury can replay in deliberations. Bieber matters precisely because he sits outside Combs' business orbit. No royalties fight, no shelved album, no personal axe to grind. Prosecutors want jurors thinking, if even Bieber saw the same hyper-controlled environment, maybe the insiders aren't exaggerating. His public brand, candor, faith, contrition, tests off the charts with mock panels. In short, he's the translator who turns NFT-sized metadata into a human story. Strategists will drop Bieber midway through the government's arc. First comes the dry stuff: wire transfers, VPN-masked emails, blueprint diagrams of party venues. Just as eyes glaze, the door opens and a platinum artist walks in. Prosecutors expect him to run the night like a concert set list. Invitation, valet checkpoint, phone lockdown, Combs entrance, final departure at 3:47. Every beat syncs with surveillance logs already admitted. It's not just evidence, it's a story. The defense has its remix ready. Cross-examination will zoom out, framing strict privacy as industry furniture. They'll show photos of Bieber leaving tech billionaire yacht parties under identical phone bans, NDAs at charity galas, sealed envelopes at royal fundraisers. If secrecy equals conspiracy, they'll ask, why isn't half of Hollywood in cuffs? Expect them to remind jurors Bieber attended maybe 3 Combs events, hardly a reliable sample. Behind the curtain, jury consultants earn their fees. In hotel ballrooms, they run mock trials, heat mapping reactions every time Diddy meets trafficking. Change party to listening session and sympathy scores flutter upward. Attorneys rehearse micro-pivots because one synonym can swing a gut punch. Every prospective juror brings a playlist of biases, and both sides scramble to mute the tracks that hurt them most. Meanwhile, brand managers brace for collateral damage. Vodka labels bearing Combs' silhouette debate swapping to abstract waves. Streaming apps preload twin playlists, one celebrating a legacy if he walks, one burying tracks if he goes down. Bieber sponsors draft parallel press releases. Civic duty in column A, strategic distancing in column B. Social sentiment charts spike like stock tickers each time a sealed motion leaks. City officials treat Bieber's arrival like a soft-ticket stadium gig. Ride-share zones shift 2 blocks away, Marshals stage decoy SUVs to throw off fan tracking apps, cafes triple espresso orders for bloggers on 12-hour shifts. Court texts rehearse redaction overlays so no stray address flashes on a viral screenshot. Overflow rooms get extra routers. No one wants the Wi-Fi crash that morphs reporters into angry influencers. Trip away the flash and the stakes are brutal. A guilty verdict could translate to birthdays spent behind bars and strip value from every Diddy-branded subsidiary, vodka, media, television alike. An acquittal could puncture the government's win rate mystique and encourage future defendants to roll the dice. For entertainment, the precedent looms. Are airtight NDAs and phone bans legitimate privacy tools or neon red flags? Veteran observers recall a split screen. Martha Stewart did 5 months and bounced back to daytime TV. R. Kelly's conviction cratered an entire catalog. A plea today might see Combs home before the next Grammy cycle. A failed gamble might end the empire forever. Audiences can be fickle or forgiving, but only when the redemption arc feels earned, not engineered in panic. So the room will tighten when Justin Bieber raises his right hand beneath the walnut seal and swears to tell the truth. Prosecutors lean in, defense lawyers watch jurors, and Combs measures every syllable against 3 decades of brand architecture. The hush is thick enough to muffle courtroom HVAC. This is pop spectacle's collision with civic duty, and no mixer or auto-tune can smooth the edges. Beyond the verdict lies the cultural autopsy. Can listeners separate art from artist if sworn testimony paints the studio as staging ground for exploitation? Does cancel culture claim its biggest trophy, or does a not guilty verdict reset the story into a resurrection tour? Court of Public Opinion never adjourns, and its live stream runs forever. Keep your notifications on. From lightning round jury selection to Bieber's sworn soundtrack of secrecy, every beat of this trial threatens to rewrite the playbook for how fame, power, and accountability collide in 2025. Tomorrow's headlines are already cued. Will they drop like chart-topping singles or leak like unfinished demos? Stick around, we're rolling this tape until the final gavel. That's the latest from the intersection of fame and felony. You're watching Celebrity Circuit, where we don't just spill tea, we pour the whole pitcher, steam and all. Smash like, punch subscribe, ring that bell, and drop your verdict predictions below. We'll keep receipts, update timelines, and serve fresh chaos on demand. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep your eyes on the court.